Hey there, guys. Melodic Symphony here again, Melodic Gaming, whatever you wish to call me. It's totally okay either way. I'm going to continue my chat on the bariatric surgery and kind of the recovery from it, everything about that. This particular episode is going to kind of be about the feelings that come with it. When you go through your prep, they warn you that afterwards there may be some tough emotional times, tough, like, mental states. And it's not necessarily all your fault. For example, when they make such a drastic change to your body, they warn you it's going to change around your hormones a little bit. It's going to kind of like have a raise of something, a lower of something else, and for a little bit you will literally feel emotional. So, one of the biggest things they talk about is what they refer to as a buyer's remorse. So, one of the things that often will come up is, well, should I have gotten the surgery, etc., or should I have followed through with the surgery? And a lot of people worry about that. Like, did they make the correct choice? Just keep pushing. It'll pass. It'll always pass. One of the big things, for example, that could be a trigger is like the excitement of what's to come. For example, I know I'm excited for what happens after the recovery. So, like, once the 6 weeks of letting your stomach rest and recover is done, I'm excited about that sort of thing. So, I'll be chatting with my folks about it, kind of letting them know, hey, like, things like this can be done, and then things like this can be done. And what, for example, was depressing me or like making me feel sad was that, like, anytime I would kind of get excited about an idea, like, let's say, for example, you go out to a restaurant and you have a pasta dish. Well, a normal pasta dish is probably going to be too big for the sleeve's stomach. So you could literally eat, depending on the restaurant, maybe a quarter of the meal. Like maybe a quarter, a third, half, whatever the size of the meal is. You only have such a small pouch at this point. So you can eat a portion of it and then take the rest home. Well, what was happening is I was like kind of excitedly saying that to people, and then they would be like, "Oh yeah, but you can't have like that sort of thing, or you can't have that sort of thing after the surgery." And while it's not necessarily true, they do recommend you stay away from some things after the surgery. I'll have a whole episode on like foods and stuff, but like, for example, I was getting super excited about these cool things that like I used to do, and then I would never be full from it. Like, I would go to a restaurant, eat an entire plate, and then still be kind of hungry or something. Versus now, like, if I go to that same restaurant, I'd have like a third of the plate, and then I could take the rest home to have for like 2 more meals. But I was constantly being told, like, no, you can't do that. I mean, you can't have that item. And then it was kind of bumming me out. And then, like, I noticed that was what was happening. So it was one of those things where, like, I noticed that me kind of being excited about this was causing those around me to sort of unknowingly make those comments and make, like, me not feel well. So it was a situation if I was just kind of avoiding saying those things and kind of just holding my tongue for a little bit, or I would just distance myself from the situation. But it's really important to remember that if you do have those like heavier feelings of, oh well, if I can't have that, that kind of sucks. I mean, that's not necessarily true. And there are a lot of things you can have with the surgery. They're just things that they recommend you don't have. For example, they recommend you don't have, like, let's just say, in general, white pastas. There's a reason for it. It's an understandable reason they don't want you to have them. But it's not like you can't have them. Just like once the surgery is done and you've recovered, they also kind of want you to steer clear of carbonation. Um, you can still have it. It's just, again, there's a reason why they recommend you don't. I'll go over like all of those things in a different episode, but like it's important to understand when you're going through the surgery that there's a lot of emotions that come with it, and there's a lot of, especially if you have people who are there like to kind of help you kind of go through the process, they may be like reading the paperwork, or they may be going through things and they say, no, you can't do this, or no, you can't do that. Or you'll be reminded, no, like this isn't recommended. Don't get discouraged, because again, like, once the surgery is done, your stomach is super small anyways, and sometimes you have a change of taste. I know a lot of people that I've talked to have mentioned that things they used to really enjoy they don't like anymore, and things that they used to really not like they like now. For example, I was never really huge into cottage cheese before it, but now afterwards it's a really good sort of filling dish on the side. It's very high in protein. But that's a whole different part of the story. It's mainly that if you are having those big emotions, usually they are based around, I can't have this, or maybe I can't have as much of this, or maybe I can't have fun outside or something. That's not true. You can still go to restaurants. You can still go out and do all that fun stuff. You can still have basically anything, but you do want to keep it in moderation. You want to keep like very minimal. Like if you're just going to go out and have like a slice of cake, don't have a slice of cake for like 2 meals in a row, because that's not necessarily good for the stomach. But you can still have those moments of having like basically anything. It's just sometimes maybe you don't even want them. It's, again, always going to happen. I thought like, oh, I'll just push past it. Like I won't feel big emotions too. But like I was having days where I was kind of, well, I'm super bummed out about this, or I'm super bummed out about that. And I kind of just sat down and thought for a while. And once I kind of got past it, I thought, okay, that was kind of a little silly thing to be upset about, but it doesn't really matter in the end because it's going to get better. That's kind of really all I have to talk about in terms of like the emotional changes that come with the surgery. And I hope that if you're going through the surgery, or if you're planning to go through the surgery, you make sure that when you talk to your therapist, because they have a I believe it was like a psychiatric consultation, sorry about that, they have a psychiatric consultation, make sure that when you talk to them you get to the root of why perhaps you got to the size you were that you need the surgery, or like what triggers you have. Mine specifically, all she wanted to talk about was what got me there, and will my home be a place that will foster the growth of my stomach and foster my journey. And it was. So it's important to know that you have a supporting background. Find friends, find family that will support you through the change. There will always be people that support you through the change. And if you can't find them directly there, Facebook has a lot of groups. Like there was a group that I joined that I didn't even know existed. Look into them. Like, look, hey, my area, bariatric group. There are hundreds and hundreds of people, groups of, like this group, for example, has thousands of people. I didn't realize there were that many people who've had the surgery in Colorado Springs. And you can chat with them, get their experiences, vent. Everyone is there to support each other. So if you are feeling big emotions and you don't necessarily have any support directly in your home, look for it on like Facebook or something. There are plenty of people out there who are going through the same exact thing as you. So that's kind of all I can realistically say about it right now. The next one will probably be an episode on the foods that can be had during each phase. I'm still only in phase 2 right now, which are things like the refried beans and all that. But I can still kind of explain a little bit more about what I know. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know this may have been a little bit shorter of an episode. Actually, I haven't really been keeping a track of the time. But thank you for sticking with me. And remember, if you're going through this journey, or if you plan on going through this journey, it'll happen. Just take a breath, sit back, and make sure that you remember why you started the surgery. Remember why you got into it. Remember what the goal outcome is and push towards that goal. Alrighty. Well, thank you.